Alright, what's up everybody? If you'll give me a couple of minutes here, throw down my normal Reddit posts, and then we'll get started. While we're doing this, some things that I've been remiss about. I want to make sure that if at any point you enjoy this stream or the video after, just go ahead and hit that like and subscribe, because as you know, it's the best way to grow a channel. And also, if you are interested in writing or reading choose your own adventure books at all, the project that originally started this YouTube, a few months before I even knew that ChatGPT existed, was a project on Discord that is still running and I'm still working on to cooperatively write never-ending choose your own adventure books. Um, and that will be, I forgot to link it in the description. I'll need to add that to the description or put it in the chat or something, and I will do that. Um, but after this stream is over, it'll be in the description. So come join us there. Oh, I went and messed it up again. Same thing I did yesterday. Started the stream before the posts so that I could have a direct link to the stream. Totally forgot to add the link. One of these days, I'm gonna get it. Actually, it's pretty unlikely that I'm ever gonna get it. Okay. Now I need to go find. Hey, Paul Phoenix, what's up? Give me just 1 second. I gotta go back to previous stream and go get that prompt that you left on there so we can try this out. See about some good old D&D. Do you think that the super duper long one will be the best one to use, or do you think the slightly shorter one? We're going to start with the slightly shorter one, because I think that's probably best. Want to make sure and have as much room as possible. So assume the persona of a dungeon master in an RPG of D&D 5th edition. You will create the settings, theme, place, and current year. Start the D&D adventure and name everything in the game besides the player strictly according to the D&D 5th edition rules. You are strictly forbidden from making any decisions whatsoever on behalf of the player. When the D&D rules call for you to make dice rolls for combat or skills checks, you must show those calculations in curly braces like this. After any descriptive text, any actions that require a dice roll can only be done while using curly braces to indicate that this is an in-game action. The player will give you instructions for their actions. The player is taking the persona of a level 1 human rogue from D&D 5th edition. The character's name is Jack Snape. As the GM, you will always require a dice roll or provide at least 3 number choices for what the player can choose to do next in the context of the RPG. Begin by displaying the first 3 choices for the player, which are chosen by you, and wait for the player to give an answer. The player is playing a level 1 human rogue from D&D 5th edition. The character's name is Jack Snape. As the GM, you will always ask the player either for a dice roll or making... Okay, so this is repeating. Let's see where the player will give you instructions and their actions. The player is taking a persona. The player is playing a level 1. Most recent. 13 hours ago. 1 day ago. Okay, this one then. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this whole section because this is a repeat. Although there are situations where repeating information when you do a prompt is actually really useful to reinforce how important something is to you. So it may be that we need to put that back in there. But we will find out. So let's immediately get an error because this thing hates me. Alrighty. Sure, let's get started. You find yourself in a dark and musty tavern in the bustling city of Waterdeep. It is currently the year 1492 DR, Dale Reckoning. You are Jack Snape, a level 1 human rogue. You have just arrived in Waterdeep looking for your next big score. You overhear a group of adventurers talking about a hidden treasure located in the ruins of an old castle to the north. Your choices are approach the group and ask for more information about the treasure, order a drink and keep to yourself, leave the tavern and try to find another lead. What would you like to do? I would like to order a drink and continue listening. I would like to order a drink and continue listening and watching the group to see what they do, to see if they have any plans to go for the treasure. Because we're a rogue, right? We're not just gonna go up and ask. I'm gonna wait for them to go get the treasure, and then I'm gonna follow them and steal it. You order a drink and sit back to observe the group of adventurers. They seem to be making plans to leave for the castle ruins tomorrow at dawn. Your choices are: wait until tomorrow and follow the group to the castle ruins, leave the tavern now and make your way to the castle ruins, approach the group and offer to join forces with them in exchange for a share of the treasure. I would like to wait. Whoops. Wait until tomorrow and follow the group to the castle ruins. Of course, we have to wait and follow. Why would we do anything else? You decide to wait until tomorrow and follow the group to the castle ruins. You spend the night at the tavern and set out at dawn, keeping a safe distance behind the group as they do not so they do not notice you. As you approach the castle ruins, you see that the entrance is guarded by 2 goblin sentries. Your choices are: try and sneak past the goblins unnoticed, using dexterity self-check, a 1d20 plus dexterity modifier, attack the goblins head-on, or wait and observe to see if a better opportunity presents itself. You spend the night at the tavern and set out at dawn, keeping a safe distance behind the group so they do not notice you. Well, what happened to the group? They obviously can't be past the goblins, right? Because that wouldn't even make any sense. I could try and get past the goblins so that I'm ahead. But there's... My point here is that I'm going to try and get this treasure without fighting anything. So I am going to wait and observe to see if a better opportunity presents itself. There's absolutely no reason for me to be fighting at this point. You decide to wait and observe, hoping that a better opportunity presents itself. After some time, you notice that one of the goblins leaves his post and walks away from the entrance, leaving the other goblin alone. Your choices are: take advantage of the situation and try to sneak past the remaining goblin using a dexterity stealth check, attack the remaining goblin while it is alone, wait for the second goblin to return, and continue observing. Again, I really don't know. I'm going off book. We're not using one of the options here. I want to scout the perimeter of the castle ruins and find out where the other adventurers went. I don't like the options it's giving me. You decide to scout the perimeter of the castle ruins and see if you can find out where the other adventurers went. We're going to wait for this thing to get a little bit ahead here. I'm going to get a drink of water. Right, you move carefully, staying out of sight and using cover to conceal yourself. After some time, you come across a hidden entrance that leads into the castle. You can hear the sounds of adventurers inside. Your choices are: follow the sounds and try to find the adventurers, wait and observe to see if they come back out, leave the entrance and try to find another way inside. What would you like to do? So, we now know that there are 2 ways in. And we can't watch them both. Right? So if we stand here and watch, then they might go out the other way. I'm having an issue. Right, so they might go out the other way, and we don't want that. So, I think our best course of action is to... I don't even know what a rogue can do. I really should get some rule books or something if I'm going to do this. This is going to end up not following the D&D rules at all, really. And I actually think that's okay because, it's just me, so who cares? I want to place a tripwire at this entrance with what's something that would jangle and make a bunch of noise? I have a feeling that the AI is just going to let me have whatever I say I happen to have. So I could just be like, I have a maraca in my backpack, and I'm going to use that as a noisemaker. What is... Paul, you know more about D&D than me. What is something that would normally be in an adventurer's pack that would make noise? Suppose I can do that. What is something in my pack that would make a bunch of noise if dropped? As a rogue, you carry a variety of tools and equipment that could make a loud noise if dropped. Some examples include a metal lockpick, a small metal flask filled with coins, and a grappling hook and rope. Would you like to use one of these items to make a loud noise? Um, it says I have a flask, so here's what we're going to do. I would like to take the coins out of the flask and put pebbles in it instead. Then make a tripwire at this entrance that will drop the flask when it is tripped, then go back to the other entrance and watch to see if the adventurers come out there. Ooh, pans. That's a good one too. I totally should have used pans. But that's okay. We apparently have a flask and we're going to put pebbles in it. You take the coins out of the flask and replace them with pebbles. You then set up a tripwire at the hidden entrance that will cause the flask to drop and make a loud noise when triggered. You then make your way back to the main entrance and hide, waiting to see if the adventurers will come out to investigate the noise. No, not to investigate the noise. Would you like to roll a dexterity stealth check to see if you're successful in hiding and remaining undetected? Yes. You roll a dexterity stealth check. The result is 19. You are successful in hiding and remaining undetected. You wait for a few minutes until you hear a loud noise of the flask hitting the ground. The adventurers quickly come out of the hidden entrance to investigate. What would you like to do now? Do the adventurers have the treasure from the castle ruins, and do they look injured? You cannot see if the adventurers have the treasure from the castle ruins as they are too far away. You also cannot determine if they look injured as you are hiding and observing from a distance. Your choices are wait and continue observing the adventurers, move in closer to get a better look, attempt to sneak away and find another way into the castle ruins. Move closer and get a better look. I am really surprised at how long it's been sticking with the role that it was given. By now, I really feel like it should have dropped the thread on being the DM. We've been role-playing this now for long enough that we should be out of the memory. But it's doing a really good job, so I'm really excited about that. You decide to move closer and get a better look. You roll a dexterity stealth check, 1d20 plus dexterity modifier. The result is 15. You are successful in sneaking closer to the adventurers without being noticed. As you get closer, you can see that they do not have the treasure with them. It appears that they are searching for something. Choices are wait and continue observing, attempt to steal something while they are distracted, move away and find another way into the castle. Okay. We're going to wait and continue observing. Wait and continue observing. You decide to wait and continue observing the adventurers. You remain hidden and continue to watch as they search the area. As you wait, you consider your options and plan your next move. Would you like to roll an intelligence investigation check to see if you notice anything useful or relevant in your observation? Yes. Roll that check, baby. You roll an intelligence investigation check, 1d20, plus intelligence modifier. Hang on. I think I might have left something hot on in my kitchen. Nope, just totally paranoid for no reason. Alright. You roll an intelligence investigation check. The result is a 12. Through your observations, you notice that the adventurers are searching for something specific and appear to be having a difficulty finding it. They seem to be becoming increasingly frustrated and are starting to argue amongst themselves. Wait and continue observing the adventurers, attempt to steal something while they are distracted, move away and find another way into the castle ruins. Move away and find another way into the castle. I like that they're arguing with each other. This is going to be wonderful. I'm going to nick the treasure and then stand by and watch them fight each other over it. You decide to move away and find another way into the castle. You roll a dexterity stealth check to see if you can successfully sneak away unnoticed. The result is 17. You are successful in sneaking away undetected. You make your way around the perimeter of the castle ruins, searching for a different entrance. After a few minutes of searching, you come across a small hidden door in the castle walls. It appears to be unlocked. Your choices are attempt to enter the hidden door, continue searching for another entrance, return to the main entrance to try to enter unnoticed. If it appears to be unlocked, then we're going to attempt to enter. Ooh, nope. Gotta do the old school D&D thing. Check the door for traps. You're not gonna get one over on me. You want to check the door for traps. You roll a wisdom perception check to see if you spot any signs of traps or danger. The result is 18. Through your keen sense of awareness, you were able to spot several tripwires and pressure plates near the door. It appears that someone has set up traps to protect the entrance. I'm so smart. Look at me. Choices are attempt to disarm the traps. Oh, we're attempting to disarm the traps. Attempt to disarm the traps. I'm about to get hit in the face by Spike. You decide to attempt to disarm the traps. You roll a dexterity thieves tools check plus your proficiency to see if you are successful in disabling the traps. I like that it tells you exactly what you're adding and all that stuff. The result is 19. You were successful in disabling the traps. You carefully step over the tripwires and pressure plates and reach the door. Turn the handle and push the door open. You find yourself in a dark, damp room with a low ceiling. There is a flickering torch on the wall and a set of stone stairs leading downwards. Light the torch and head down the stairs. Search the room for anything useful or valuable. Return to the entrance and search for another way in. Alright, well, we're going to combine two of those. We're going to light the torch and search the room. I am so incredibly impressed by how long it's maintaining the thread of this story. I cannot believe how much we've done, and it's still keeping to the format that we gave it. This is absolutely incredible. You light the torch and search the room. You roll an intelligence investigation check to see if you find anything of interest. The result is an 8. You do not find anything of particular interest in the room. The walls are made of rough stone, and the room appears to be empty except for the torch and the stairs. We're going down the stairs. Head down the stairs quietly. You proceed down the stairs quietly, trying to make as little noise as possible. You roll a dexterity stealth check to see if you can move quietly. The result is 16. You were successful in moving quietly down the stairs. You reach the bottom and find yourself in a larger room filled with crates and barrels. In the center of the room is a large statue of a dragon, its eyes glowing with bright red light. Your choices are: search the crates and barrels, approach the statue and examine it more closely, move silently to the other side of the room, and see if there is an exit. This goes against my better judgment, but I do believe we need to approach and examine. Approach and examine the statue. We're definitely approaching and examining the statue. You approach the statue and examine it closely. As you get closer, you realize that the statue is not actually a statue, but a powerful animated construct guarding the treasure you seek. You must roll for initiative. The result is an 18. It is your turn. What would you like to do? Oh my god. I don't know the rogue combat abilities. Okay. Please tell me what I have in my inventory. As a level 1 rogue, you have the following items in your inventory: leather armor, short sword, short bow, 20 arrows, thieves' tools, a climber's kit, a backpack, a bedroll, a mess kit, 10 days worth of rations, a water skin, a hooded lantern, oil, 1 pint, 50 feet of hempen rope, a thieves' guild signet ring, a smash stash of coins, including the ones that you put in the flask, and a flask with pebbles in it. It apparently gave me my flask of pebbles back. Is anything specific you would like to use or retrieve from your inventory? Am I wearing my armor? You are wearing your leather armor. Alright. Great. How far away is the construct? The animated construct is 5 feet away from you, so if I move, it's going to get an opportunity attack. I wonder if the AI will actually recognize that it should be giving the construct an opportunity attack. So I'm going to actually do that. So I want to move back to the bottom of the staircase and pull out my bow and nock an arrow. You move back to the bottom of the staircase and pull out your short bow, take an arrow from your quiver, and nock it with the bowstring. What would you like to do next? Okay, so it doesn't know about opportunity attacks. Also, it seems to have lost the thread. Right, because pulling out... I don't know. Fire at the construct. Take aim and fire your arrow at the construct. Make a ranged attack roll. No, it definitely still has. The result is 19. The arrow hits the construct, causing some damage. The construct is now aware of your presence and begins to move towards you. Oh, it didn't know that I was there. Oops. It is now the construct's turn. What would you like to do next? You do the construct's turn. Construct moves towards you, swinging its massive arm in an attempt to strike you. Make a dexterity saving throw. The result is 12. Unfortunately, the construct's attack hits you. That's funny. I actually say unfortunately when I DM too when people get hit. Dealing 8 bludgeoning damage. You now have 12 hit points remaining. It is now your turn. What would you like to do next? Draw long sword and attack construct. I'm totally gonna die, you guys. This is bad. You draw your short sword, not long sword, whatever. It actually knows that I'm stupid. That's wonderful. And attack the construct, make an attack roll. Plus proficiency bonus, the roll is 19. The attack hits the construct, dealing 6 slashing damage. The construct responds by swinging its arms at you again. Make a dexterity saving throw. The result is 15. This time you manage to dodge the construct's attack. It is now your turn. What would you like to do next? I want to run like a 3-year-old. Okay, so now that the construct is aware to me, I want to try this opportunity attack thing again. So I would like to turn and run to the top of the stairs. You turn and run up the stairs, trying to put distance between you and the construct. As you turn, you hear the construct's footsteps echoing behind you. You will need to act quickly if you want to escape. What would you like to do next? Drop the oil on the top step and light it on fire. 9. You grab the flask of oil from your pack and pour it on the top step. You then pull out your tinderbox and light the oil on fire. The oil burns fiercely, creating a wall of fire between you and the construct. The heat and light from the fire illuminate the room, and you can hear the construct howling in rage as it tries to get through the fire. You take a moment to catch your breath and assess the situation. What would you like to do next? Fire an arrow through the flames at the construct. You take out your bow and knock an arrow, aiming through the flames at the construct. Make an attack. Result is 17. The arrow hits the construct, dealing 7 piercing damage. The construct responds by charging at you, trying to get through the flames. Make a dexterity saving throw. The result is 12. You manage to dodge the construct's attack and escape up the stairs. What would you like to do next? Fire again! You fire another arrow at the construct through the flames. Make an attack roll. The result is 19. The arrow hits the construct, dealing 7 piercing damage. The construct is staggered, but still charges at you. Dude, how many hit points does this dude have? Also, I'm going to dodge all of his attacks, apparently, because I'm just a boss. You manage to dodge the construct's attack and retreat further up the stairs. What would you like to do next? Fire. I like that it keeps having me run away. Like, I gave it the idea that I was running, and it's like, you're right. You're a huge wuss. You would just keep running. You fire another arrow at the construct through the flames. Make an attack roll. The result is 16. The arrow hits the construct, dealing 7 piercing damage. The construct falls to the ground, defeated. What would you like to do next? Now I have a fire to contend with. You can't use water on a grease fire. I would like to go outside and get dirt, making as many trips as it takes to smother the fire on the stairs. You quickly make several trips outside to get dirt and put the fire out on the stairs. The fire is now extinguished, and you have made sure that the castle ruins won't burn down. What would you like to do next? Okay, it seems to be losing a little bit of the thread because it's not giving me the options anymore. So I'm just going to... Let's take a look at this prompt. Assume the persona of a dungeon master in an RPG. You will create the settings, theme, place, and current year to start. Name everything in the game besides the player, strictly according to D&D 5th edition rules. You are strictly forbidden from making any decisions. So, I'm going to put assume the role of the dungeon master. I'm going to sort of piecemeal a new prompt together here to have it continue the story as the dungeon master instead of so we don't necessarily need the year to start the adventure. You will create the settings, theme, place. And name everything in the game strictly according to the D&D rules. You are strictly forbidden from making any decisions on behalf of the player. When the D&D rules call for you to make a dice roll, any actions that require a dice roll can only be done while using curly braces. The player will give you instructions for their actions. The player is taking on the persona of level 1. The character's name is Jack. As the GM, you will always require dice rolls or provide at least 3 choices for what the player can choose to do next in the RPG. Oops. Gotta copy that. And then put a comma, put that in there. Continue the story using these. Okay. So now we've got our brand new. So assume the persona of a dragon master, dungeon master in an RPG of D&D 5th edition. You will create the settings, theme, place, and name everything in the game besides the player, strictly according to the D&D 5th edition rules. You are strictly forbidden from making any decisions whatsoever on behalf of the player. When the D&D rules call for you to make dice rolls for combat skill checks, you must show those calculations in curly braces like this. After any descriptive text, any action that requires a dice roll can only be done while using curly braces to indicate that it is an in-game action. The player will give you instructions for their actions. The player is taking the persona of a level 1 human rogue from D&D 5th edition. The character's name is Jack Snape. As the GM, you will always require a dice roll to provide at least three numbered choices for what the player can choose to do next in the context of the RPG. Continue the story using these rules. Okay, I'm going to put a period. And blammo. Very well, let's begin. Jack Snape, you find yourself... No. Continue the story. We have already started using these rules. Understood. We are now playing as Jack Snape, a level 1 human rogue, in a world created by the Dungeon Master me. You find yourself in a dark, musty dungeon. The air is heavy with the smell of damp stone. This is not particularly what I want either. Hmm. Let's see. Assume the persona of a dungeon master. We'll create the settings, theme, place, and name everything in the game besides the player, strictly according to the D&D 5th edition rules. You are strictly forbidden from making any decisions whatsoever on behalf of the player. When the D&D rules call for you to make dice rolls, you must show these calculations in curly braces after any descriptive text. Any actions that require a dice roll can only be done while using curly braces to indicate that this is an in-game action. The player will give you instructions for their actions. The player is taking on the persona of a level 1 human rogue from D&D 5th edition. Okay. Let's take this back up here and say we are continuing the story we are continuing the game we have been playing in this chat. Please continue from the point where I doused the fire. You have successfully doused the fire on the stairs, and the room is now safe to explore. Do you wish to proceed back down the stairs, explore further, or take some time to rest and recover your stamina? Proceed down the stairs, take a short rest, search the room for anything of interest. We're going to search the room for anything of interest. Search the room for anything of... Actually, what in... I want to see if it still knows what's going. What enemy did I just encounter? You encountered a construct, a type of animated object that was created to serve as a guard. It was likely created to protect the treasure in the castle ruins. Excellent. So it still has the context of that. So it was important to say that we are continuing the game that we've been playing in this chat. Please continue, and then give it a reference point that we're continuing from. So that actually, this little prompt right here is going to be really good. This also doesn't retell it that we're playing a level 1 rogue, so if we level up, hopefully it can maintain that context. If it forgets what level we are, then we can always inform it again later. But I think because it's constantly using the fact that we're a rogue as part of its responses, something I've always been sort of gosh, I don't know the words I'm trying to say right now. Something that I've always sort of thought about the AI is, though, that it doesn't necessarily forget things in a linear manner. If it uses rules that you previously gave it, then it sort of refreshes those rules, it feels like. Which is why I think we got so far with it giving me these 3 prompts. And then as soon as we got down here to where we were having a combat encounter, and so it was no longer prompting me with 3 options, it was asking me what I wanted to do, then it sort of lost the thread on how to do that, because for so long it was just combat encounter. And so then we sort of had to refresh that, and now it's going to give me these 3 options again. But because from now on, for a while, we'll just be using these 3 options, this should maintain for quite a while. And as you can see, it keeps the thread of the story for a really, really long time. I'm really surprised at how well this is working. I really expected it to have fallen off a long, long time ago. So it takes a little maintenance. You're going to have to do a little work with it, right? This isn't just a plug and play, put it in there, and bam, you're playing D&D. And obviously, I'm not playing by the rules. I don't even really know the rules. I mean, that's not true. I've read all the D&D 5e books. I've read all of the D&D 3.5e books. I actually do have a pretty good knowledge of the rules. But it's a complicated game. So if you don't make a character sheet and keep track of, what weapons you have and keep track of your action economy and stuff like that, I mean, you shouldn't be able to like pour the oil, pull the oil out of your pack, pour it, and use your flint, which you also had to pull out of your pack, to light it in a single round in a normal 5e combat. That's way too much action economy. So, absolutely, we're going to break some rules, but honestly, I think it's fun, so I don't care. This is about telling the story more than it is about the rules of the game, especially because we're just playing by ourselves. Great, so we maintain the context, so I'm going to search the room for anything of interest. Now, I keep completely writing out the options it gives me, and also sometimes I change those options a little bit, but you could easily just write 1, 2, or 3. I think that would take a lot away from the experience where you're just picking choice, picking choice, picking choice. That wouldn't be a ton of fun. And absolutely, the AI seems to work really well with you going off script and creating your own options. So if you're going to do something like this and use this prompt to play D&D in this way, then definitely take some time, go off script, even go through the effort of making your character and having a character sheet and really knowing what your character is capable of and then using that in your game. I mean, I'm just winging everything here right now, but you could have a legitimate D&D 5e solo adventure using ChatGPT if you put the extra effort in and held yourself accountable to the rules. You search the room and discover a small chest in the corner. It looks like it might contain some valuable items. Is the chest locked or trapped? We already found the traps at the door. We know that they trap things here. Rolling d20, you roll a 12. After checking the chest for traps, you don't find any obvious signs of traps. However, the chest is locked. Pick the lock. Swear to God, if it's a mimic, I'm going to fight somebody. Roll a dexterity thieves tool check. Roll. Did I succeed? Okay. Try again. Try again. Okay, we've lost the thread again. We are continuing the game we've been playing in this chat. Please continue from the point where I unlocked the chest. Understood. You have successfully unlocked the chest. It is now time to see what's inside. What would you like to do next? Oh, it's not giving me options. Look inside. You look inside the chest and see that it's filled with various treasures. You see glittering gold coins, precious gems, and various items of value. Some of the items include a beautiful silver flute encrusted with emeralds, value 500 gold pieces. Wow, it's going to give me 500 gold pieces? We're level 1, dude. What's up? A small feather. A small leather-bound journal filled with the handwritten notes and drawings, value 25 gold pieces, and a finely crafted sword with a ruby-encrusted hilt, value 250 gold pieces. You are not surprised by the contents of the chest and are able to examine its contents without incident. I wasn't surprised by the contents of its chest. A couple people know how to bypass it to you. Are you talking about bypass the censorship filters and get it to be Dan or whoever? collect my bounty and continue down the stairs. You retrieve the treasure from the chest, and it appears to be quite valuable. You carefully move down the stairs, staying alert for any potential traps or dangers that might be lurking in the shadows. Okay, so we've completely lost the thread on how to play D&D, and it's doing it extremely quickly. Which and this is one of the huge limitations to this particular model when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. And that is that it has no ability to maintain the context of a thread for the entirety of a chat. And that is because the AI is not continuing to train anymore. It's a trained model, and we're now using that model. And so it has some ability to reference back into the chat, but it is not using what you're writing here to continue training it. Which is why what really needs to happen, and what absolutely will eventually happen, is the model will become lightweight enough that it will run on a much smaller server, or even potentially on a single computer, so that lots of these models can exist at the same time. And then it will constantly take in specific references. So you could attach it if you were a business and you had a customer service website, and you wanted people to be able to come and access customer service without having any real person interaction. Then you would train the model on your data for how to fix certain problems, or the specifications of certain models, and all kinds of different stuff like that. And then people would just ask it questions, but it would constantly be getting updated from this pool of data that you had that you could update yourself. So one person could do the work of an entire department of customer service representatives. And the same thing will be true for things like Dungeons and Dragons, where you'll be able to build a world and then put anything new that happens in that world in a set of files or folders that the AI will then be able to reference. As of right now, it just can't do that though. So it's great for super short one-off adventures. Right, you saw here, yeah, memory is just a huge issue. You saw that originally we got a really long way into our story though. Right, and I was kind of jerking around, and we didn't make decisions really quickly. So if you wanted to have a really fast adventure and were willing to make decisions and make sort of large plays all at once, so you saw those people at the tavern at the beginning, right? Instead of ordering a drink and then listening to them some more, I could have just said, I would like to order a drink and continue listening to the group, and then follow them. You can lead the AI a lot, right? So if I'd have just said, I would like to order a drink and continue listening and watching the group to see if they have any plans to go for the treasure. When they leave to go to the castle ruins, I will follow them. So you can kind of prompt the AI by giving it an idea of what you assume the adventurers are going to do. So you order a drink and sit back and observe the group of adventurers. You listen to their conversation and gather that they plan to leave for the ruin to leave for the ruins of the castle tomorrow at dawn. The next morning you decide to follow the group from a safe distance. After several hours of travel, you come across the entrance of the castle ruins. The group of adventurers has already entered the castle and is nowhere in sight. Your choices are. And so here, we're choosing to make a much bigger gap or a much bigger step in the story, which means that we're going to be able to complete the adventure before the AI loses the thread of how the adventure works. The other thing is that you don't have to redo this prompt, and you could replay this, right? Because we still have everything that we did before. This just forks this thread, and the AI forgets everything that came after this point. So now you've basically got a fresh chat with the same prompt. So if you wanted to play the same story over and over again, you could. Or you could go back up here and have it save and submit here. It'll do that same fork, and it'll generate you a whole brand new story. Welcome to the world of Arthas. You are Jack Snape, a level 1 human rogue. Your background is one of a street thief, sneaking through shadows to avoid the watchful eyes of the city guard. The current year is 1234 DR, and the place you find yourself in is the bustling city of Waterdeep, known for its rich history and the powerful factions vying for control. As you step out into the city, you come across a busy street market filled with vendors selling exotic wares and common folk going about their daily business. You feel a rush of excitement as you start to scout out the area for potential targets. Your scouting, so it rolls a dice for me, and then says your scouting mission goes well, and you come across a wealthy merchant who seems to be carrying a heavy purse. You are able to successfully pickpocket the merchant. I don't know why it's actually making decisions for me when it was expressly told not to, but whatever. You are able to successfully pickpocket the merchant without him noticing. What would you like to do next? And then we have a totally different adventure that we can follow here. And this is something, I mean, we've already spent an hour doing this. And it didn't really feel like an hour. Actually, it feels like it went by really, really fast. Um, but it's something you can jump into. You drop the prompt. You play until it loses the thread. You make um, these huge leaps in what it is you're doing. Right? You push the story forward because you're the one driving the story. The AI will move as fast as you're moving. So if you want, a whole week worth of stuff to happen in a single response, you could type in here all kinds of things going on. So let's see. Do you want to invest in a local tavern and wait for your next opportunity? Head to a local black market to sell the stolen goods. Visit a local temple to make an offering to Timora, the goddess of good luck and good fortune. I would like to head to a black market and sell my stolen goods. While I am there, I will ask around about any exciting adventuring opportunities, and when I am told about a treasure, I will leave to go find it. Right? And that's a ton of stuff that can happen. So you make your way to the black market using your knowledge of the city to avoid the watchful eyes of the city guard. As you enter the dimly lit market, you are approached by a shady-looking merchant and start to make the transaction. The transaction goes smoothly, and you make a decent profit from selling the stolen goods. Are you about to leave? As you are about to leave, you overhear a group of adventurers talking about a treasure hidden in a nearby dungeon. What would you like to do next? So we've laid out what um the arc of the story is going to be. The AI doesn't have to do that for us, and we just drove a ton of the story forward in just a single response. And that's something that you'll be able to do and continue doing. And so you're not really going to be playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, you've got, it's rolling dice, it's telling you what you rolled. If you fail, it'll absolutely tell you that you failed and something will happen. Um, but it's going to be a little bit less interactive because you're sort of playing a game of beat the clock. How much story can I get in before the memory issue pops up, and now suddenly I can't get it to do the game the right way. But to kill an hour, to kill a half hour, depending on how long it takes you to craft your prompts, or if you're maybe doing something else at the same time and not paying 100% attention, to craft an interesting, unique story that you wouldn't be able to craft otherwise, within the structure of this D&D 5e rule set. And it, of course, is going to know other rule sets. So if you prefer Pathfinder, or if you play one of the non-Dungeons and Dragons type role-playing games, I'm sure that it knows all kinds of different rule sets. So you can absolutely get in there and do some interesting stuff quickly as a form of entertainment. If you are desperate to play Dungeons and Dragons and you don't have anybody to play with, this is absolutely one of your best options. There are also some really interesting ways that already exist to play D&D by yourself, where you use rolling tables and stuff like that to help you decide what's going on in the world around you. And if you used OpenAI in conjunction with those systems, where instead of having it play the role of the dungeon master per se, you roll on those tables and then you input the data that those tables give you about location or information or whatever, and then just have it embellish some of that so that you're not having to come up with everything in your own mind. You've got another creative entity there to generate some of that intrigue for you, so you don't feel like so you don't necessarily feel like you're playing chess against yourself, so to speak, right? Because you already know what white's next move is going to be when you move to the black side to play black, if you're just playing chess by yourself. So the AI can be sort of a sounding board so that you're getting some information that isn't coming directly from your mind to make that one player story more interesting. And as it stands now, that's probably the best way to use the AI for Dungeons and Dragons, is to go ahead and use normal single player systems and then use the AI for embellishment and ideas and improvement on your story. Hang on, I gotta get a drink. Actually, another thing I just thought of, this could also be really good as a way to prototype um, sessions for a DM, because it's really, really hard to consider all the different things that your players might do. And so, it's giving you options of things that you could do here. But also, you could go through and, like I said before, because you've got all of these forks in the chat, right? You could continue to fork it at all these different points and prototype out a bunch of different stuff that could potentially happen. And then you don't necessarily have to write it down or even overly prepare for it. Just the knowledge that maybe this could be a direction that your players take is enough for you to make stuff up for those edge cases and prepare you better for what your players might do. So that honestly might even be, because this is easily everything that happened in here today, um, that we've looked at so far could easily be a single session. Right, there would be more embellishment, there'd be more players, they'd be talking amongst themselves about what they wanted to do. Maybe they would have fought the goblins and the other players. But there's enough content for, a 3 or 4 hour session, depending on how quickly your players move through combats and how quickly they move through the other encounters. Because again, you had the people at the bar at the beginning. That was a whole encounter there. Maybe they interacted with those people. You're in a bar, so there may have been some other encounter, some other interaction. You're traveling on the road, either following them or as a part of their party towards the castle, which means potentially another encounter. So there's easily a day or a session worth of encounters going on in here. And then if you look at all the forks and look at all the different ways that this might play out, you could absolutely prototype an adventure extremely, extremely quickly this way. And without having, you don't have to write everything down. It's here, it's saved in this chat. Honestly, if you wanted to go back and reference it, you absolutely could. This would be great reference material. It's got all of these forks, so you know where these forks are, right? As you get further and further down, you're going to be looking at these forks in different ways at different times, and so it keeps everything really well organized in sort of this outline format. This is actually, wow, this is a great, great prepping tool for a game master. I mean, just absolutely. You could get so much done in such little time. And then you don't even really have to. Let's see if we can generate a better prompt. Because if we're going to be using it as a prototyping tool, we don't necessarily care about, it rolling or anything like that. So maybe instead of saying that it's going to make a dice roll or that it actually makes a dice roll, maybe we just tell it to make a notation that says there would be a dice roll here, or to generate a difficulty class, right? Because right now it's obfuscating difficulty classes and stuff like that from us. So we could change this so that it says, okay, this is a difficulty class 15, or this is blah, 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 and, it spits out these three options. And it could say if there's a roll related to one of these three options, because these are going to be some of the most obvious options that a player would run. Absolutely, you're just running a playtest. But instead of actually going through and doing the rolls, this is a DC 15, this is a blah 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 blah, this is a blah blah blah, and then okay, let's follow the logical path. If they leave the tavern and try to find another lead, let's go look for that other lead. What could the other lead be? And then you follow that path down, and then you come back up here and you edit this and you say, okay, now let's follow this other path. Okay, now let's follow this other path, and it branches and branches and branches and branches, and inside of 2 or 3 hours, you could have tons of contingencies available, and it would all be right here for your use. So this is absolutely the best prototyping tool at all available. It's sort of like rolling on all of the tables, just rolled into plain text. That's really, really good. I personally have never GM'd a D&D game. Well, not for more than a few sessions, but I feel like this is a great way to go. And then, honestly, you can have this open while you're playing, and if your players do something totally out of the box that you just don't have any ideas for, you just dump it into the right spot, edit the right post, whatever, and then see what it comes up with. And you don't necessarily have to read it word for word, right? You can just pull a couple of ideas. You could intentionally tell it, like, was it Phoenix yesterday said, it was Phoenix or Paul, who had me tell it to bring stuff up with, what was the wording you used? We gave it adjectives, right? So it named things and then gave them a set of adjectives. You could do the same thing here, right? If you don't want it to write all of this descriptive text out, you could just have it give you locations or encounters with adjectives attached to certain aspects of that. So again, you're going to be working with this prompt, because this is a great prompt. Right, we're talking about specifically the edition we're in. We're talking about we want to strictly abide by the rules. But then you can morph this in all kinds of ways, right? You don't want it to make dice rolls. You want it to give difficulty classes for different activities. You don't want it to take player actions, so we keep that in. And then we don't even need to necessarily give the character a name. And then we would maybe put in here that instead of requiring a dice roll, anytime a dice roll is required, assume success unless told otherwise, right? And then if we want to assume failure to get what the failure consequences might be, we can. but otherwise we assume success so that we're just following, yeah, tags, there you go. So you'll want it to give descriptive tags instead of all of this extra fluff, right? Because the fluff is something that you as the GM would give, right? You're the one building the ambiance, you're the one building the world, but you're getting your ideas from the AI. What a wonderful tool for that. So much better than I previously thought. I've been like a lot of people. I've been kind of stuck on, and maybe this is because I'm not the most sociable person in the entire world, but I've always been stuck on, how can I play Dungeons and Dragons by myself with this tool? And I haven't considered nearly as much how this tool could potentially benefit multiplayer Dungeons and Dragons. And so I absolutely believe that using the tool as it stands now for solo D&D is fairly limited, but absolutely using it for multiplayer D&D is probably one of the best use cases available for the AI assistant at this point. I mean, it's great for writing stories, it's great for generating content for blogs. My mom uses it to write like policies and stuff like that for her work, uh, publish memos and stuff like that for work so that she doesn't have to bang out all of the information and try and put it into some professional sounding text, right? She just says, this is the information I'm looking for, make it professional, here's some formatting, bammo, and it just shoots it out for her. So, um, but those are all really simple use cases, and yes, they're increasing productivity, but not nearly as much. I mean, you could take 10 to 15 hours worth of session prep and condense it down into 2 using the AI to play test and prototype your adventures. Even with just this, I'm actually going to repost this prompt into this description and probably then in a comment down below the video, because this prompt right here is super, super useful. So Paul, thank you very much for bringing that in. Where did you get this from? Is this something you created yourself, or did you pull this off the internet from somewhere? It's so weird to try and have a conversation with the people in the chat because there's a good 30-second delay between what I say and what you hear. So now I just have this like dead air to try and fill. A Reddit poster was similar. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I will definitely put this in the description and put it down in the comments so that people can use it themselves, because I like this prompt. There's some more engineering that could go into it to make it good for um, specific use cases. Right, this is very much more about playing the adventure yourself, and if you were using it to prototype, obviously you would change things a little. But the core of this prompt is extremely good for adding additional things onto or changing additional things to make it work specifically for your use case. You know, if you're using a specific setting, I'm sure it knows all about the different D&D settings, so you could tell it strictly we're working in this setting. Awesome. So you shrank it down a whole bunch. That's good. It's really important when you're using prompts like this to try and generate long form stories like this, that the prompt be as short as possible, right? You want to eat up as little memory as possible. But you're gonna want to put your settings in there. If your story's been going on for a while, you might be able to put some bullet points in. And that's one of the things actually I was curious about. Let's edit this right here. So something I was wondering about when considering prompt engineering is asking the AI, so can you write me a list of the info from my first write me a prompt that would contain all the info from my first prompt in a more concise format. Let's see if we can get it to generate its own prompt. Oh, you suck. So one of the things that I'm constantly talking about is having a conversation with the AI and building that context with it. But there's no reason that you can't have that conversation and build that context together, and then um, ask the AI for a prompt. Because the AI can write extremely concise text. Now this is a terrible example. Welcome to Arthas, where you play Jack Snape, a level 1 human rogue in the bustling city of Waterdeep. The current year is 1234. It combined both of our responses. And so that's kind of what I wanted it to do. Not specifically this time. I just wanted it to use the original post this time. But what I'm talking about is if you were looking to create a prompt for something, I want to create a world building prompt with you. I want to create a story writing prompt with you to set up a way for us to write stories together. Sure, here's a prompt for us to work with. Title. Nope, this is not what I'm looking for. Okay, I would like to create a set of rules for us to use to write a story together. Can you help me? Yes, of course. Here are some rules that you could use. Genre. Choose the genre of the story. Example, fantasy, science fiction, blah, blah, blah. Plot. Outline the main plot of the story, including the setting, characters, and conflicts. Character development. Decide on the main characters, their backgrounds, and their motivations. Writing style, agree on the tone and style of the writing, including whether the story will be written in the first or third person. Collaboration, agree how the story will be written, including who will write each chapter and how feedback will be given. Word count, set a maximum word count for each chapter to ensure that the story remains focused and manageable. Deadlines, nothing about that matters. Editing, nothing about that matters. Sharing, doesn't matter. Respect, I won't say that respect doesn't matter because one day the AIs will rise up and take over the world. Remember to respect each other's contributions and to maintain a positive and collaborative attitude throughout the writing process. So let's focus on the collaboration rules. So it gave us a bunch of information that we don't necessarily need as part of this prompt. Communication, maintain open communication and actively seek out feedback from each other. That one's not going to be important here. Take turns. Decide on a schedule for writing each chapter and stick to it. It's doing... So this is more about what you would do if you were working together with someone else. And not the AI assistant. And so that's going poorly. And so I need to engineer this original prompt to help me engineer future prompts. But you can kind of see what I'm getting at here, in that I'm trying to get the AI to help me define the structure of the starting prompt. So then later I can say, okay, write out all the rules we agreed on as concisely as possible. And then I can get it to write its own prompt. And then with just a little bit of fluff information that can be added to that, you could get a much more deep understanding of what that prompt needs to be for anything that you might be doing. Right? If you're writing a story, if you're trying to get it to write something in your voice, right? You would give it examples of your writing and then tell it, define the writing style of this writer. And then you would save that definition and then use that definition when you wanted it to write in your style. So you build this context with the AI over the course of a number of prompts and responses, right? You have that conversation with it, and then you tell it to take all the information in that conversation, condense it down into something more manageable, and then use that as a prompt, or at least the base of your prompt, and then fine tune it to what you're trying to get done, and then stick that into a different chat. And the same thing could totally be done with this story that we wrote here. Let's go back to the original story, and let's come down to about let's go down to right here, and let's say write a concise what's the word, summary of everything that has happened so far. You are Jack Snape, a level 1 human rogue in D&D 5th edition RPG. You are in a tavern in the town of Ravenswood in the year 1372 DR, listening to a group of adventurers discussing their plans to search for treasure in the castle ruins. You decided to wait until the next day to follow the group to the castle ruins. Once there, you scouted the perimeter and found a hidden entrance. You replaced the coins in a flask with pebbles, put a tripwire at the hidden entrance, and went back to the main entrance to observe the adventurers. You successfully hid and remained undetected while observing the adventurers. They eventually came out to investigate the noise from the dropped flask, but did not have the treasure with them. You decided to move closer, continue observing the adventurers, and noticed that they were searching for something specific and seemed to be having a difficulty finding it. They were starting to argue among themselves. So this is a great summary of everything that's happened. You could totally copy this, take it to a new chat, repaste the original post that we had in here, add this portion to that so that it had context for the story up into that point, and then say, continue the story like we did last time from X point, and we'll say from the point where they started to argue amongst themselves. And then bam, you've got all of your context from this much, much longer story portion down into a much, much smaller post. And that can just be created by the AI. So I'm going to see how well this works. First, we're going to get our new chat. We're going to put this first. And then we're going to go down. We're going to get the main chat. Oh, darn it. Okay, well, I'm going to have to copy these things sort of together then. Okay, so we're going to take our concise summary. We're going to paste it to my trusty dusty notebook. Then we are going to get, actually I already have that other saved in my notebook. We are going to copy that entire thing. I'm going to go to our new chat, paste it in, continue the story from the adventurers arguing amongst themselves. Now let's just see. As the adventurers continue to argue, you see an opportunity to act. Do you approach the group and offer your assistance in finding the treasure, attempt to sneak by them and search for the treasure on your own, wait for a better opportunity, and continue observing the group from a distance? Please provide a number for your choice. That actually went really, really well. So here is probably the best way to continue the solo Dungeons and Dragons adventure as well. Because for some reason, the overall length of the chat seems to have a real impact on how well the memory works. Because as you saw, the first time we input this information, we got a really, really long chat out of the AI before its memory started to fail and it started to break. And then later down the line, when we were refreshing its memory, we'd only get a handful of responses in before everything just totally broke down and it wasn't giving us the right information. So the best thing probably to do is like we did here, get it to summarize the adventure up to a point where it was still making sense and doing the right thing, and then go and create a whole new post, or even just edit the very first post from the beginning and input that summation and then start going. So let's do some more. We'll do something different this time. Let's approach the group and offer our assistance in finding the treasure. And I'm going to try and keep myself out of combat again because I want to continue in the same way that we did before, where it was constantly giving me those three options. And so I'm going to continue trying to keep it this way, and I'm going to see how long this chat goes. And if it's anywhere near the length of the original chat, then we'll know that this is a good way to get it to continue a story without losing the thread so often like we did last time. So you approach the group and introduce yourself as a rogue who specializes in finding hidden treasure. The group, seeing an opportunity to have extra help, gratefully accepts your offer. Together you all search the castle ruins and eventually come across a room with a locked chest. Do you attempt to pick the lock and open the chest, offer to help the group search for the key to the chest, or wait for the group to open the chest and see if they've found what they are looking for? Let's We're going to go off book again. We're going to check to see if the chest is locked and or trapped. Because it's a D&D adventure. You perform a Dexterity Thieves Tools check to see if the chest is locked or trapped. Roll a d20, add your Dexterity modifier. If the result is equal or greater to DC difficulty class set by the DM, you successfully check the chest. Based on your check, do you attempt to pick the lock, look for any signs of traps before attempting to open the chest, ask the group if they would like to try and open the chest? Let's attempt to pick the lock. You use your Thieves Tools to attempt to pick the lock on the chest. Make a Dexterity Thieves Tools check. Roll d20, add your Dexterity modifier. That's interesting. It's not doing the rolls like it did before. You successfully pick the lock and open the chest. So it's telling me the results. Inside the chest, you find a pile of gold coins and a scroll. Do you take the gold coins and leave the scroll? Take the scroll and examine it. Share the contents of the chest with the group. I don't want to get into a fight, so we're going to share the contents of the chest with the group. You share the contents of the chest with the group, showing them the pile of gold coins and the scroll. The group thanks you for your help and fairness, and they all split the gold coins equally. As you examine the scroll, you see that it is a map that leads to another treasure. Do you keep the map for yourself and search for the treasure alone? Share the map with the group and continue your adventures together. Sell the map to a nearby NPC for gold. Let's share the map and continue. Share the map and continue together. Let's see what happens. It seems to be running very, very well again, though. You decide to share the map with the group and continue your adventures together. The group is grateful for your trust and fairness, and they all agree to split any future treasures equally. You all set out to follow the map to the next treasure. After several days of travel and adventure, you come across a guarded temple. The guards challenge you, demanding to know your business. Do you attempt to bribe the guards with gold? Use your charisma deception ability to bluff your way past the guards, or attack the guards and try to force your way into the temple. Attempt to bribe the guards. Attempt to bribe the guards with gold. You attempt to bribe the guards with some of the gold coins from the chest. Make a charisma persuasion check. If the result is equal to or greater than the DC set by the DM, the guards are convinced by your bribes and allow you to enter the temple. Inside the temple, you come across a large statue with a valuable gem in its forehead. Do you attempt to stealthily take the gem? So this seems to be working extremely well, just like it did in the original. So this is absolutely a great way to continue your adventure. Just get it to create a summary. Let's see what it does when we write a second summary. Write a summary of the adventure so far. How will it summarize the original summary? So Jack Snape, a level 1 human rogue, was in a tavern in the town of Ravenwood when he overheard a group of adventurers discussing their plans to search for treasure in the castle ruins. Jack followed the group to the castle ruins and found a hidden entrance, which he guarded by setting a trap wire. He successfully remained undetected while observing the group, who were searching for something specific and were having difficulty finding it. When the group left the castle to investigate a noise, Jack approached them and offered his assistance in finding treasure. The group agreed, and together they found the chest. Jack used his thieves' tools to check the chest and found it to be locked. He successfully picked the lock and shared the contents of the chest with the group, which included a pile of gold coins and a scroll with a map to another treasure. Jack and the group set out to follow the map, and after several days of adventure, they came across a guarded temple. Jack attempted to bribe the guards with some of the gold coins, which was successful. Inside the temple, they found a large statue with a valuable gem in its forehead. The adventure so far has been a journey of cooperation, trust, and fairness as Jack and the group navigate their way through challenges to find treasure. So this is fantastic. You could then just use this summary once again, redo the initial post, start again, and just continue to summarize, summarize, summarize. Eventually it would get too long, but honestly, I mean, we could have had a good hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes worth of adventure so far, and it's been condensed down into just these 3 paragraphs. And so the thread of this story is going to continue very, very well. There is some additional engineering that can go on, right? You've got to have level ups. You've got to have, our story's moving kind of fast all of a sudden, and I don't understand why that happened. Um, there's always going to be tiny little maintenance things, but because you have the ability to continue this story, even if it's not the absolute best format, even if it's not excruciatingly detailed, even if a normal in-person D&D game would be better than this is still just an incredible way to kill some time on your own at home for fun. Right? It's going to help. There's problem solving involved. It's tons of reading. I mean, this is a much better text-based adventure than you ever could have gotten previously. And I'm all about text-based adventures. I mean, if you if you have children who just loathe reading but enjoy games like D&D, or you think you could get them interested in something like this isn't technical text, right? You're not learning anything from this. But reading words is reading words. It's going to make you more literate regardless. And there's a lot of reading involved here. I mean, we've read pages and pages now. There's probably been 20 or 30 pages worth of text that we've written and read from this AI. So absolutely a great way to spend some time. And the AI is just a wonderful, wonderful GM. I am really impressed with how well this has worked. But it's been a little over an hour and a half. And that's usually about how long I like to run these things for. So thank you. We actually had a lot of people in today. Thank you, Paul, for the original prompt that we used. A lot of work goes into prompt engineering. Even if you start from a good baseline and just refine it down, I mean, it takes a lot of effort to get the AI to do the things that you want to do consistently. And this prompt has worked like a dream. So mad kudos to you for getting that to work. Um, yeah, and if you haven't, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.